WisconsinEye's Campaign 2024 programming is sponsored by Wisconsin Counties Association, Nicolet National Bank, Wisconsin Hospital Association, Operating Engineers Local 139, the Wisconsin Realtors Association, the Wisconsin Laborers District Council, and North Central State's Regional Council of Carpenters. To support programs like this, please consider a tax-deductible donation at wiseye.org/donate or by texting WisEye to 44321.
Renee Paplham from Kewaunee is the Democrat candidate in the 1st Assembly District. The election is November 5th. Renee Paplham, welcome to WisconsinEye.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for participating in our candidate interviews. What is your campaign's key message? Why are you running for this office?
So I would say one of the big things I like to focus on is that this year is different. Wisconsin is really writing what I feel like is a Cinderella story. We have gotten fair maps for the first time in 13 years, and just in time for arguably the most consequential election of our lifetime. So I like to remind voters when I'm giving my messages that Wisconsin really holds a lot of power in this upcoming election, and we can tip the presidential election, and Wisconsin voters have the power to choose potentially the next president. So when I focus in on some of the more details of my race, just that we need to meet the immediate needs of the people we serve. There are people struggling with the most basic issues of affordable housing and childcare and healthcare, and that those need to be addressed, and we need champions for public schools and safe drinking water in our district.
So if you are elected, what's an example of a bill that would be a priority for you to introduce?
I think it'd be really important to create a bipartisan commission that can really look at that school funding formula. It is very outdated and children are not being served, and our schools, public schools, should not have to be funded based on referendum.
So maybe I know the answer to this question. You would be entering the assembly during a biennial budget year, and the state's projected to have a $3 billion surplus. What would be two priorities for you for use of that surplus?
Definitely childcare. We are on a cliff here, so we need to prop up that industry, childcare, and definitely healthcare in rural areas like ours.
In what way would you be funding healthcare?
Well, I think we do need to work on Medicaid expansion. Here in the state, we are one of only 10 that refuses to expand Medicaid. And I think that we can save a lot of money, $1.6 billion, so being fiscally responsible while serving an additional almost 90,000 Wisconsinites.
In your answer about the surplus, you don't mention taxes. Are tax cuts or tax reform at all a part of your platform?
Yeah, I think we can do both. I think that is a very large pool of money there that we've already done. We had that $7 billion surplus and it's down to $3 billion now. We can do tax cuts, but those need to be targeted to the folks that need it the most. So that would be middle class and working class Wisconsinites.
You mentioned a priority in education. It is also a leading issue for many voters. What do you think needs to change in education? Is it the funding formula, or are there other areas of investment in education?
Yeah, definitely, again, that funding formula has to create equitable access for all Wisconsin students to have opportunities in education and great education. Also, I think we need to provide the public with more transparency in where those taxpayer dollars are going. So are taxpayer dollars going to private schools versus public schools?
Do you have a position on the taxpayer dollars going to private schools or the two school systems in general?
You know, I think the original reason the program was created has some value to it, and I would definitely be able and willing to explore that. However, I think we have a system that's really good, and we've been kind of slowly defunding it for a while. It's time to put our money and pay teachers appropriately and make sure that our students have all the resources they need to thrive and learn and become our future leaders in this state.
What about Wisconsin's higher education system? 4-year colleges, 2-year colleges, technical colleges. What do you see as the future of that system, and where should the legislature focus?
Well, again, there's another area that we can and should be funding. I specifically think skills development and skills training is really important for this state and for our workforce and for our economy. So finding ways to incentivize students to go into certain fields and then also making it affordable. It is really just an unattainable goal for a lot of families at this point.
What do you see as the state's largest workforce development challenge, and how would you propose to address it?
Finding workers. So I think some of the things that we've done politically here in the state have pushed certain types of workers away from our state. So I think we need to look at that and study that a little bit. And then again, incentivize folks from other states to come on over and work here in Wisconsin.
Another workforce question for you. Investments in public and energy infrastructure grow our state's economy. This also provides an opportunity to invest in our state's workforce, but currently there are no requirements for hiring local workers. Would you support a state resident hiring requirement for state, local, and utility scale infrastructure investments?
Absolutely. I don't think there's a better investment in Wisconsin than using local Wisconsin workers and companies to do the jobs that we need done here in the state.
Employee classification is an issue in the construction industry. Some employers misclassify workers as independent contractors or pay them in cash off the books. This lowers costs by avoiding payroll taxes and unemployment insurance, and it puts compliant companies at a disadvantage when bidding on projects. Plus, misclassified workers may be denied minimum wage protections or overtime pay. Are you aware of this, and what do you think should be done about it?
Yes, I think we should lead initiatives to crack down on intentional misclassification of workers. Again, workers are the ones losing here. I mean, really everyone's losing except for the people that are cheating. So workers are losing out on those benefits and overtime and leave and Social Security. Our government is losing out on tax dollars while the companies that are following the rules are at a competitive disadvantage.
Affordable rental housing is an issue in Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. Some support government-imposed rent control to maintain affordability, while others argue keeping rent artificially low will decrease rental supply, resulting in increased prices. What is your sense of housing as an issue, and which best addresses rental housing affordability, rental control, or building more housing?
Well, I think you can always look at a combination. This requires a multifaceted approach. In our district, I'm not sure that rental controls are necessary. However, housing supply is necessary. It is a big issue in Door County. So doing things that naturally will incentivize people to maybe low interest loans for folks that want to restore or rehabilitate existing housing, or tax credits for first-time home buyers. But we also need to incentivize plans to increase the supply of houses while keeping it affordable.
Transitioning to healthcare, medical systems are facing numerous headwinds in the form of inflation, workforce development, and issues around Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement, resulting in fewer services and even the closure of a hospital system in western Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. What would you do to preserve access to care and prevent future closures?
Right, so I think we have some money tied up right now that's for the Chippewa Valley area, so the first thing would be to release that money so that these areas can keep operating these health systems. Again, everybody deserves access to health care, so if we have extra dollars, again, maybe that surplus, we need to be making sure that these local hospitals in rural areas stay open and that they can serve everyone, again, as everyone deserves access to that health care.
Similarly, mental health care is a growing concern in Wisconsin and a concern for state and county budgets. Is this an issue that you're also hearing about, and do you propose any solutions?
Yeah, I think you do hear about this issue in schools, in public safety. It certainly is an issue they've talked about locally in Kewaunee, building a jail and a mental health facility. There is no shortage of help needed in this area. So again, I think we need to throw some resources in this area and talk to communities and see what they really need.
So grants to local communities?
Sure, yeah.
Abortion policy. How should Wisconsin move forward on the issue of abortion?
Well, I think we can start with an open and honest and more robust conversation between representatives on this topic. The decision of if and when and how to start a family is deeply personal, and I believe that a lot of those decisions should be left to be made by families with the support of their doctors and trusted loved ones. I think the fact that our Wisconsin GOP stood strongly behind an 1849 abortion ban when Roe versus Wade was overturned, effectively silencing the voices of over half of us in this state, did not sit well with a lot of voters, and I think you're going to see a high voter turnout because of that issue.
Transportation. What are the pressing transportation needs in your district, and how important is it that these are addressed, and for the state to keep on schedule with the reconstruction of our aging interstates and significant corridors of commerce?
Oh, transportation is a really hard issue in these rural areas, again, for folks to get access to health care and the groceries and the supports that they need. We struggle a lot with that. So it's not just finding money to pay people to do it, it's finding the staff to do it. It is securing dollars to get those resources to the folks and connect them to the resources that they need.
In the environment, PFAS and other water contaminants are a concern for a growing number of Wisconsinites. Do you see this as an important issue, and how do you propose addressing it?
Absolutely. Our district has a long history with water quality issues, so I support initiatives that address those PFAS contaminations and high nitrate levels, things like removing lead pipes. Those will all help. Everybody deserves clean drinking water, and we have money, again, PFAS money tied up, that we could be using to start addressing the problem. Again, it's just a start.
We are down to our final two questions. How would you describe the leading differences between you and your opponent?
I think I'm part of a new generation that really truly believes that government can and should work for everyone. I think voters are ready to elect leaders that are willing to have tough but respectful conversations and debates. And I think our state is ready to be led by the working class who believes that our representatives should be working full-time and year-round for that full-time salary, unlike our current assembly that was in session from mid-January to mid-March, and now they're adjourned for the year. I think our voters are expecting a little more.
Final question. Let's say you're elected in November and you get this magic wand you can use over the state capitol to resolve one issue in a way that brings parties together. What would that issue be?
Oh, resolve one issue. Oh, I was going to use that wand to make sure that every representative acts respectfully and works respectfully across the aisle and in the real spirit of compromise. Because in my current role as a mediator, I understand that there are two essential components to resolving conflict. And the first is good and respectful decorum. Even in the face of disrespect at times, we have to still maintain that. And then also that we really do want compromise. It's one thing to say we want compromise, but to act and behave in a way that fulfills that.
Well, thank you, Renee Paplham of Kewaunee, the Democratic candidate for the 1st Assembly District. The election is November 5th. Renee Paplham, thank you for talking with WisconsinEye.
Thank you so much for having me.
This programming is brought to you by our generous sponsors. Thank you for watching.